Great.
So welcome, Dr. Jenny Lane. So you're a well-known chiropractor around Florida. What is your specialty?
I focus on pregnant women and children, specifically newborn.
Oh, wow. That is so cool. I remember taking my granddaughter to a chiropractor and, he put her up and he was like, oh man, her landing gear's a little bit skew. She was all bent like a little banana, and he fixed her up. It makes me wonder, like, how many kids, like, in the past had that problem,
Yes.
and never got fixed, and later on in life, That's a great job. I mean, working with little kids like that.
Yes, it is. It's astounding, and it's true. The more that I learn, the more I'm like, how did you and I survive without chiropractic? There's things that I find about myself today, almost 50 years old, that if I would have gotten adjusted as a newborn, I probably wouldn't have those issues. My parents took us to a chiropractor when I was around probably 12, and we had it our whole life, which opened the door to chiropractic to me. So, but yes, it's very rewarding. I love what I do, and we're changing. A lot of babies are being born without medications now, so that makes it better on mom, better on baby, and just births go so much better, which means a better outcome, better function for mom and baby.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that with my own hip and back issues that I've had recently, and I've done a lot of research into the SI joint, and then a lot of the research comes up with pregnant women and that, and how it sometimes just doesn't go back into place, and it's just like so debilitating. And have a chiropractor who just goes click clack, knows what they're doing, and no more trouble. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, when you started our program, what was it that drew you to our program in the first place?
So I kept seeing you guys, different people were tagging your link, and especially it started hitting Clearwater. And one of the girls, she actually used to cook for me. She was a meal preparer. And so I knew her meals well, and she had posted success. So all these people that I didn't know were posting the success, and they kept, tagging you. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. But when she posted and her win in a relatively short period of time, I reached out to her and I was like, so what is this program? And I'm like, and you cooked meals for me. So like, that were keto and things like that. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And she explained it to me a little bit. And I don't know, there was something different about this. And then I reached out to you, and that was back when, you did the phone consult, and I was so impressed. It was a long consult, and as a medical professional, especially I've now in the last 5 years, I've dove into functional medicine. I was so impressed at the end of our conversation that for you not being a medical doctor, I felt like I was talking to a medical doctor though. You knew so much about the body. I didn't feel like I was being talked down to or talked up to. I felt understood. I felt that you knew what needed to be done. And what sold me on it was I still was, we spoke for all that time. I was like, yeah. But you had 1,000% certainty that you would help me. And the way that you communicate that to me is it was in the same way that I talk to my patients, because often I'm the last hope, especially for the little ones. They've tried everything, and when I feel I could help somebody, I'm like, you're in the right place. And you spoke to me in that way, and I couldn't help but, I'm like, no, he's not trying to sell me something. He really means it. And I'd never had that in all the programs I've tried before, and so I signed up.
Awesome, and I'm so glad you did. You've been one of my favorite.
Thank you.
You know that.
Yes. And everybody knows. I tell everybody, no, that's not true.
I know.
But
no,
yeah, I mean,
I get a lot
because of that. Yes, and the thing is now, I mean, I've lost count. I'm somewhere, I think, between 34 and 40 people that I've now sent to you, that have not only sent but done the program now. And it's life-changing. Like literally it's life-changing. How many people are pregnant now. There's others that, they have their health back. One of my best girlfriends, she's exercising again. 2 of my patients just got pregnant this month after doing your protocol. You know what I mean? Like, it's game changing. And I don't know. Anyways, we'll talk more about that in a minute.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. With what you said about, I'm not trying to sell you a program. It's not I definitely, I'm not a salesman. I'm not a salesman in any way, shape, or form. But I do feel that when I'm just sincere about it, and I know the results that we've gotten over the years, that it's like, I know when someone's in front of me, and I can help anybody. I mean, it's just, it's not a person on this planet that does this program that can't be helped. It's like, right. You'll come out the other end better off than you were when you started. So I'm glad you said that, because I definitely feel like that when I talk to my clients for the first time, and it's not everybody gets it, but when they do get it, then they start the program. It's such a great job. Like with what you do. It's like, it's just so rewarding when you have someone like yourself who I watch. I've been on a journey with you for probably about 2 years now, and we've been. I've helped you, and then you've gone off on your own. I've helped you again, and gone off on your own, and every now and then we kind of cycle through it. But watching you, and there's a lot of things that you do to improve your life. But I do feel that, and I'm proud of the fact that I had something to do with some of your success.
Yes, sir.
In certain areas, and
yes, sir.
And that's awesome. I'm a real softy baby when it comes to that kind of thing, because I get teary about it. I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
So that's cool.
As you should, which is awesome. That's how you know. That's how you know it's genuine.
Yeah.
Like, for as many people as you help, I was never a number with you, and when I won, you won. And when I would, and when my confidence came up and I was like, look at what I'm doing now, you took that win too, as you should, because I couldn't have done it without you, which is why, and all the times I talk about you, or I tag you on posts or whatever, I'm like, you're the real deal. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm just your Tuesday at 7:00 appointment. I'm a person, and you've always supported me. And that's what I tell people. You have a family business. And I said, it's everybody in the family. I said, Nick is my favorite because he gets me. But I said, not once did he ever make me wrong. And a lot of us that have tried many, mmany programs, there's a lot of make wrong. There's a lot of, you piece of shit, essentially, is like the flow. Yeah. And, and I always tell my people, especially those that, those of us that had a lot to lose, I was like, just tell them the truth. If you had a bag of Oreos, tell them you had a bag of Oreos. Yeah. Because one, he'll go, okay, sometimes we have to change the supplements, or sometimes we need to change the foods. I said, if you're not honest with them, you're going to lose. And I said, I told them the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you never, ever, in all the time I've been with you, not once did you ever make me wrong. You're like, all right, girl, and you would always find what was the reason behind it, and then, support me through it, which is what those of us that have a lot to lose, we need that. We invalidate ourselves more than anybody else in our life. And we don't trust many people when it comes to weight loss, because all we do is get told about how wrong we are, when honestly, we're trying to make good decisions. Yeah. And, one of the things you asked me is, what did I face before I did this weight, program with you? It's like, well, I work 12, 14 hours a day. I see a lot of patients, and, so I was told, snack on nuts, or, have small little, breaks. And so when you interviewed me, I'm like, I eat clean. Like, I eat organic, I eat healthy, I eat, it's not like I'm eating bonbons and Doritos every night. But it was like funny how we changed those modifications for what I thought was good. And we changed those, and now I have better energy, and I'm eating even better. And, we added more fats to my diet, and instead of, we're told don't do that. So it's like making those modifications. And then, my patients were able to see me. It was like, well, what's so different? And how do you have all this energy? And first of all, if you're on purpose, you have the energy. But two, if you're feeding the foods that your body needs based on what you found from my assessment, then, the body starts working for itself.
Yeah, and it that's the program as well is also very simple. It's not a complicated thing. In actual fact, it's probably the most simple thing.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean it's easy though. It doesn't mean it's
totally.
But it's simple. The way I've looked at it. In actual fact, I had a cognition recently about Homo sapien bodies. So you got these Homo sapien bodies, and and they were designed to eat a certain way. Okay, fair enough. They may have evolved slightly over, the last 300,000 years, but they haven't evolved into the standard American diet. That's for dead sure, But I remember back when I was in the military, and I spent a week in the bush on my own, living off the bush, and I realized just recently I was actually eating an ancient Homo sapien diet while I was in the bush. So what was I eating then? And the funny thing was that I was full of energy. I was extremely alert, and it was just like, and I was like in high spirits, and okay, I was out in the sticks and in the mountains, which was also great, But
yeah.
The thing was that I was only in that 7 days that I was wandering around there, I only ate about 4 times,
Wow.
So it's interesting, what these bodies are designed to do and how they respond. Now, obviously, like with you had, your body's got its own little track. You've done certain things along your life, and you've had exposure to different toxins that other people haven't, and they've had exposure to toxins that you haven't. And so there is an adjustment there because there's different types of damage, there's genetics, and everything gets involved. But basically, you have to feed this body a simple diet and then try and repair it with the little bits of supplements that we add in along the way, but generally it's just a matter of the body will repair itself. It's an amazing thing. You just feed it right. Just got to give it the right fuel. It's not like an engine that's not animated. An engine, you've got to feed it the right fuel, but it won't repair itself when you break it. A body does,
True.
So yeah, I mean, okay. And then the next thing I wanted to ask you was, how did you feel that mindset played a role in this, and how did you feel that doing this particular program helped with that mindset shift?
Perfect. So mindset is 10,999 billion percent this program. It is a mindset thing. So a lot of people are like, oh, I can't have this. I can't have that. If you say that, first of all, what are you asking not to have? It's carbohydrates and sugars for the most part, right? And I'm like, okay. 2, if you want different results, you have to do different things, right? Like it's just, otherwise it's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Yeah. So the thing is with this, in the first week, I got such great results, eating more than I was, because, and especially those of us that are bigger, but I barely eat anything, and it's true. And when we shifted what I did eat and the times I'd eat, because I was already fasting 16 hours a day for the last almost 4 years before I met you. So intermittent fasting was already part of my life, but for you and I, we shifted it to 18 hours, and that 2-hour difference. Yeah. And then I was eating more. I dropped so much weight in my first week. I was like, it gave me hope. So first of all, it gave me hope.
Yeah.
2, it changed everything that I thought was true or that I've been told by other coaches, I've spent thousands of dollars on other professionals. And so I had to, kind of let that go and go, okay, let me give this guy a shot. And that because I had such success in the first week, it opened the door of, okay, let me see what this guy says. Yeah. And then 3, you were so, positive, and you were so certain that you were going to help me. I said, okay, I could do anything for 3 months, or 60 days. I could do anything for 60 days. Right. And I was like, okay, let me see what happens. And then, the weight loss and it was rough on the days that it seemed to plateau, and you would always work me through, well, what's happening or what's going this on. And I remember one week I lost 0 pounds, but I lost 5 inches in something. And I was like, holy shit. And we're so obsessed with a scale, except especially, those that need to lose 5 pounds, maybe not. But those of us that had to lose 50, 60, 100, 200, you become obsessed with a scale, and it almost becomes your identity. And so I had to shift, and you're like, stop weighing yourself. And I'm like, but I'm obsessed, because my success was based on the numbers of the scale. And so changing that and changing my obsession to what does the number say in the scale to how am I feeling? How am I sleeping? What's my period like? Am I still a bitch? Am I, like, what's my brain fog like? How, I had to start looking at other things and shifting my identity, if you will, and then validating the success. That was the other thing. Yeah. Because you'd be like, oh man, you're down 9 pounds. I'm like, yeah, but I still got 60 million to go, right? And it's switching that too, and keep validating the plus points, you know, on the daily basis and the daily wins, and then looking back. And so I was measuring myself once a week, and I was taking pictures once a month, and then looking back, because when you're bigger, you don't want to take pictures. Yeah. But then you look back your pictures from a month ago, and then 2 months ago, and then 3 months ago, you're like, holy crap. So even though maybe the scale wasn't moving as much as you were, you couldn't deny your things. And that's a mind shift too, of accepting, because when I looked in the mirror, even though I got down to like, I was down 60 pounds at one point, I still felt like I was 1,000,000 pounds when I looked in the mirror. And there's a mental shift and a mind shift too that has to go with that. So going through all of those mind shift changes and validating the wins, and you know, when there was a loss, it's like, okay, good, but get back up on the horse, because that's part of life too. Nobody's perfect 100% of the time, and life challenges, you know, comes into the way. It's like, but how do you make a better changes? Because like I had a funeral to go to, and I was really depressed, and I didn't want the funeral, but I'm like, well, I was fully justified in drinking wine or eating sugar or and I was like, no. So how can I eat more meat, and how can I eat more vegetables? And I did better through that time of loss. I didn't put on the weight, and I was able to eat the real foods to help nourish myself through that bad time. And when I came back to you after the weekend, I don't think I even gained it, maybe even lost some during that time. When the old me would have justified and probably come back 5 pounds heavier. So it's things like that I think are important. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's like you have to validate the positive and forget the negative. And you know, in a way, there is a little bit of faith in this. You know, you got to have that little bit of faith, but that faith becomes more like a knowing. You know, the further you go through this thing, it's like you see that there is a successful action here that you can always fall back. You know, it's like, these are the steps, just put those boots on and walk, and it will go, you know. And of course we all, you know, everybody, you know, falls off that beaten path every now and then, you know. But at least, you know, and that is one of the things I think is what we try to do with a lot of our clients, is to get them educated, you know, like, so, you know, like, give them that data. Like, this is what will happen. This is why you have apple cider vinegar. These are the things that happen when you have apple. Oh, I didn't know. I thought I was just having apple cider vinegar, you know. And you know, and all these things that we put into the program. This is what they do. This is what this kind of food will do to you. And some people have slower metabolisms than others, and you can't be eating certain healthy foods if you're trying to lose weight, kind of thing. You know, they're healthy. Yeah, you know, they're healthy, but you're not going to lose weight if you eat this, you know. So, you know, I think that's also like some of the success is the actual education as we go along, you know, and I've tried to improve on that, like, over the years, you know. You have. Okay. Next question. So what health trends do you think people should be cautious about? Okay, so all these new shots that people are trying to put in their body to bypass the weight loss, Ozempic and all this stuff, I am very scared about this. I do a lot of muscle testing, and I had a patient, she's very, very overweight, and she knows it, and we've done different handlings, but she wanted the quick fix. She wanted to try to bypass her eating habits with this thing. And I literally, so I muscle tested her. If you're familiar with muscle testing, you put the body on, and then you ask the body how strong. So I literally, I had so she got it, but she didn't put it in her because she knew I was obsessed not to do it. And I have her trust. But one day she was just like, my doctor gave this to me, and, you know, said that I need to do this, and can you just muscle test me and tell me truly, because you told me it's bad for me, but I want to see. And so I muscle tested. I literally, her body was on the table, and I was literally 10 feet away, and she was still testing negative for that shot. Wow. And for her, it was like eye-opening. I go, it's a quick fix. But I have people that have come to me now after doing the shot, and I could feel the difference in the tone in their body. And it's a quick fix, and there's not enough research on it. And and I had another woman, she lost 70 pounds on it. but she was literally still bragging to me how she was eating Doritos for supper, like literally Doritos.
Yeah.
Which I think you guys have her though, that disgusting
Yeah,
chip.
I know what that is, yeah.
And she wouldn't, and then she came off of it. She finally weaned herself off of it, and now she's up 45 pounds.
Yeah.
And because she didn't change the eating habits. So, and I've been in quick fixes. Believe me, I did fen back in the years, and I'm still recovering from that. I was only on it 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It still comes up in my body sometimes, and that was freaking 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So it scares me. I've done it. I'm not judging, but if you bypass the way the body's naturally supposed to work for a quick fix without changing what got you in the condition in the first place, I'm afraid that it will become more detrimental in the long haul.
The problem is with those shots is that most of the weight loss is muscle mass.
Correct.
Like it's just, the body just starts degrading, bones start degrading, and within a year, you have all sorts of thyroid issues, you have all sorts of other issues, and it's definitely not the way forward. I mean, the only way forward is to eat correctly. That's the only way. It might be hard to confront, but it's the honest truth. Okay, cool.
And here's the thing that I'm going to say about that for those that are on it or, are watching this video down the road that maybe was thinking about it. I do want to say this. And this is I'm going to go on a soapbox. I'm going to give you my opinion based on having done it myself. Okay. Right. And maybe they'll listen to me because I'm fluffy and you're not. We fluffy people don't listen to skinny people. But here's the thing is, in my opinion, especially now that I'm through the other side of it, and especially when I put sugar back in my mouth, I feel it is rigged specifically to make us addicted to it, to make us part of the medical world. I feel it's part of it. And so the more that we want it, like crave it, like if I think about, there's a specific potato chip here in the state. When I think about it, I'm thinking about it right now. I'm literally salivating. I'm literally right now, extra saliva in my mouth thinking about it, which I know is MSG because it's meant to create those triggers in your body to make you feel better. And if you're a stress eater like me, I have very high stress in my life. And so I would emotionally eat. I would have the ice cream or I would have the potato chips because it, quote, made me feel better for those 15 minutes. Yeah. But then it's cyclic. It's cyclic because now I have the guilt because I just had the tub of ice cream or the bag of potato chips or the candy bar or the whatever it is. And then it brings me down again. And then the next stress hit, but it made me feel good for those 15. It got me out of that stress response. But it's cyclic. And when I was on your program and I was eating good and I was taking the supplements, not that I was always perfect, but 98% of the time when I would hit those stress response, I could work my way through it because I knew it was a fake handling.
Yeah.
And so I want people to know that of like, when we break the cycle and we actually feed the body what it needs, our stress response changes and we realize that that's a fake stress response. And so we go for the walk or we have an extra avocado or we do something to truly handle it so we can confront what that stressor is so we could move on. And is it perfect? No. But if I've probably handled 75% of my previous stress responses with food to feel better and found other avenues to feel better and better confront that stress response. So I wanted to communicate that because a lot of people, that's what we do. Yeah. And that's the what we get in, and we don't eat a lot of it. It's not, it's not like we sit down and have a half gallon. We might have half a pint, but you have a half a pint and half a bag of potato chips to feel better. And now you've got that guilt thing. So I wanted to say that for the viewers that are watching this.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely, stress eating is a big thing. And I mean, it's 2025, it's hard not to be stressed. The pace of life is so fast. And I don't think our bodies were even made for that. It's, and I mean, even I feel it. I get stressed out and I get hungry when I get stressed out. And, the cortisol levels go up and it acts very much like insulin. And then you just start like, what can I snack on? And you're like, oh yeah, this is what's happening, But then again, that's the education part of it, Like I know what's happening to my body, just like knock it off, I can get through this without snacking, And you do. You get out the other side with that, you just don't snack, And it's like, yeah. Okay, cool. Then, so anybody who's out there listening, who's considering this program and is feeling overwhelmed, like they don't think they can confront something like this. What is your advice to that person?
The way out is the way through. I literally have tears in my eyes because I have tried it all. And those that reaching out to you, you're probably the last hope like you were for me. Here's pick your heart. What's overwhelming? Being fat and miserable and thinking that you're eating right, but knowing that you're not, but you don't know what to fix, or having somebody, you have daily accountability on your program. I don't know if people understand that. There's I think you have 4 coaches now. And it's like you get your own personal coach. You have daily accountability. That's a huge factor. Daily accountability without make wrong, right? And a true care factor and an educational thing. So you're not going to do it alone, first of all. Second of all, what you're already experiencing is already unconfrontable and overwhelming. So getting help and the coaches will take you step by step. Everything is in writing, which is good. There's many times I would, I printed off my program and I'd be like, what did he say? And I'd go back and I'd read the rules, or I'd read my, for my every time I did the program with you, I think twice now, maybe 3 times. But anyways, and I would print it out. And for my first week or 2, I would carry it with me. And when I would go to the grocery store and carry it with me, or, as I'm cooking my food, go back and look at the list. So I had my stable datum. 2, I knew that you were always a text away. I mean, how many times did I blow you up? Blah, 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 right? And you go, okay, good. So I knew I had a communication line with you, unlike, anything I'd had in the past, and that you would get me through, and that you'd be like, oh, okay, well, you need more of this, or you need less of this. And then I would feel better immediately. And then, I'd apply that the next day, and I just got better. And so overwhelm is like, yes, it's overwhelming. So what you do is you just, okay, you're going to do this next, and here's what you're going to do for breakfast, and here's what you're going to do for lunch, and here's what you're going to do for supper. And there's no snacking in between. And when you're hungry, you eat. If you're not hungry, don't eat. Yeah. And so it becomes overwhelming in the beginning, because you're confronting something you've never done before. But the way that you guys have laid it out, it becomes very confrontable very easily. And the list of food, listen, for those of us that have done protocols in the past, there's been things where I could eat 10 things. Your list, I mean, there's like hundreds of foods that you could eat. There's no lack of anything on this program. And so I do want to communicate that, no, we're not eating candy bars, but yes, we're eating good quality foods that you can get from a grocery store. So give it a minute, work with your coach, and it will become confrontable, especially after your first week. All of a sudden you're like, oh, okay. You get in a rhythm and you're like, okay, I got this. And especially when you start seeing results and you start feeling better, it's not like you're going to wait months before you feel different. In the first week to 2 weeks, you're going to, once the detox goes through and stuff like that, it begins, you see the hope.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think that is a major thing, is that, anything that you start new is a little bit unconfrontable. It's scary. You start a new job, it's scary. It's like, but you gotta go, man.
Totally.
And you go and you do it. It's like, I can imagine like being a chiropractor. So you studied chiropractic, and then you get your first patient, and they go, put his back in. You're like, oh, but don't break his back. Then you go,
100%.
That worked. And it's the same with anything, and the same with this program. And I always tell people that is that just start the program. Within a week, it'll be like you're it's old hat. It's very easy to do this. All right. So I see we're running out of time. So okay, cool. So I think that's it, Jenny. I really appreciate you, and you're definitely one of my favorite clients. I have so much fun when I'm coaching you, and I haven't spoken to you in probably a month or 2, and I miss it. And I have a few people like you. Like it's so nice to have clients who they're living life, man, and they and they're getting through things, and I love helping people through that. Like it's an emotional journey as well as as a physical journey. There's a little bit of both, and I like seeing people like you come out the other end, and I see you on Facebook and you've got a sexy dress on, and I'm like, oh man, and I'll call my wife and I'll come, have a look at Jenny. It's like it's like this is part of my product here.
It's true, 1,000%.
Yeah, it's
1,000%.
All right, cool. Well, thanks so much for doing this for me. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you, and have a good day. I know you're starting off your day that side, and anybody out there who wants to do this program, just reach out, and everything's, if you don't want to do it after you've spoken to me, that's also fine, you know, but
Yeah.
I just want to help people get healthy again. You know, it really is, because people are getting sicker and sicker, you know, and it's not okay. It's not okay that this has happened to people, you know, and there is a handling. That's the nice thing.
There is.
Yeah.
There is. We're very, very grateful for you and your family and the team. Thanks for fighting the fight. Thanks for being amazing.
Thank you.
And just being badass in
Yeah,
every way.
you too, man. All right, Jenny. Thank you very much, and we'll chat again soon, I'm sure.
Yes, my love.
Okay, cool.
Bye.
Bye.